What's up, everyone? The Arid Lord is back. Welcome back to another Walking Dead Season 10 vlog. This is a preview for Episode 11, titled Morning Star. The description for this episode is, with the Whispers coming for Hilltop, the communities must decide whether to fight or run. Now, seems pretty obvious which one they're going to choose, because a lot of the preview images actually hype up the battle scene that we have seen images for a couple of times when the Whispers with their horde, or at least part of it, invade Hilltop, and Aaron and a bunch of the Alexandrians have their shields locked together, and there's a ginormous battle, a giant battle of epic proportions. So, we have a bunch of preview images that were released by Skybound, and then the normal preview clips that follow Talking Dead and any other introduction kind of previews that we get to hype up the episode. So first is Alpha carrying a bow and arrow, holding a lighter, or a match that's on fire. This is hyping the flaming arrows sequence that's a staple from the comics, where the main house that, I believe, what's the name of it? Barrington House? The one that Gregory lived in a very long time ago, if we remember Gregory, rip. It's an iconic scene in the comics where that iconic building, which is really the only large stable structure of that the Hilltop is based around. It's based around Barrington House. It burns, and the Hilltop, I don't know if it's completely abandoned. I know that in the comics, at least, and this is a bit of a spoiler, I know that after the events of the Hilltop battle, that a large portion of the survivors from that fight actually moved to Alexandria. So maybe that's what they're trying to do. I don't know if they're going to destroy the location of the Hilltop completely. To funnel all of our remaining characters into Alexandria would kind of be wild. Also, considering the fact, I always go back to Season 7 when we had multiple communities. Sanctuary, the Junkyard, Oceanside, freaking the Kingdom. There were so many. It felt like we were jumping locations, and now we're down to 2. I guess you could also include Oceanside. No reason for Alpha and the Whispers to attack a beach resort. The Oceanside doesn't get much attention unless it's for some story purpose. As we saw, Michonne was there simply so she could go off on her little mission with Virgil, which is going to tie into her leaving the show. So that's pretty much the only reason Oceanside was really utilized. It was in the first episode when they were practicing the phalanxes, with the shields. They were practicing the arrow formations behind the shield, and then the shields go up, how they'd fight walkers. For the most part, it's been Hilltop and Alexandria, down to 2 communities. So we'll see if the Hilltop remains standing. I don't know. One thing about this episode, I don't know if it's going to be the whole battle. Because the title of episode 12, not to get ahead of ourselves here, but the title of episode 12 is Walk With Us. And it says, the description for that episode is, with Negan's help, Alpha and the Whispers attack Hilltop. Now, from all of the preview images that I'm going to show you, it seems like episode 11 is when the battle takes place. But the description for episode 12 would lead you to believe that episode 12 is the battle. Also, episode 12 is directed by Greg Nicotero, and he usually directs the big war episodes. The iconic battles, especially between the Saviors and other major instances, have taken place, and Greg Nicotero has directed it. If you recall, episode 12 of season 6 was the Satellite Station Massacre, when Rick and the group went in and killed all of the sleeping Saviors that kind of that woke up the sleeping giant. So that was my assumption, that this would be the Hilltop battle. But episode 11, maybe there's going to be a cliffhanger. Maybe episode 11 deals with some pieces of the battle, and then it's a cliffhanger. Maybe something's on fire, or a character gets hit, or something major goes down, and you don't know if the person dies, or it's just some big cliffhanger that we got to wait until next week to see what the result is. because there's going to be some conclusion to this episode, because episode 13, and I know I keep getting ahead of myself here, episode 13 deals with Michonne and Virgil, and we haven't dealt with Michonne in a long time. There's rumors that this is going to be her last episode. There's no confirmation here, but I'm getting way ahead of myself. But the point I'm trying to make is this episode going to deal with the entire Hilltop war sequence, the giant fire, the battle, or is that going to be split between episodes 11 and 12? The description for 12 kind of contradicts the images we've seen for 11. That's basically the point I'm making. Morning Star, by the way, references a mace kind of weapon. It's that ball and chain weapon that Daryl's been swinging in some of the preview images. So that's what that's referencing. I'm imagining one of the blacksmiths at Hilltop is going to make it for him, so he has a fun toy to swing at the Whisperers and the Walkers. So all right. Now on to our next image, which is Negan, who finally got his goddamn skin suit. We've already seen, when I did the second half preview images, I did show this skin suit, which is just the headpiece. And it's weird to see him with the leather jacket, because in the comics, he never wears a Whisper mask. His time with the Whispers is cut short in the comics. I still believe that he's going to pull a fast one on Alpha, that this is just his plan to get as close as possible to the Whisperers, so that he can cut the head off the snake, per se. I don't know when it's going to happen, but in the preview images, some of the other preview images that we have, there is a sequence where it's not really the opening minutes, but it's just like an overall preview clip that AMC let us see. And it's Negan and Alpha in the woods, and Negan is making a suggestion to Alpha that maybe they shouldn't massacre the communities. Maybe the best course would be for them to join them. And it's funny, he uses a term from his days as leader of the Saviors, which is bend the knee, because that was what they did, the kneeling. Remember, they knelt to serve him. When you first see the Sanctuary from Dwight's perspective in season 7, everyone's kneeling. So he's hearkening back to the way people worshipped his leadership. Now, the Whisperers are a totally different group. I don't believe this is going to work. To comment on that preview clip directly, I don't think this is going to work. I don't think the Whisperers, the community, the surviving members of Hilltop and Alexandria do not want any piece of the lifestyle the Whisperers are asking for. B, Carol and many others want vengeance, want Alpha dead for what she did with the Pike sequence last season. And they're just overall horrible people. There's really, at least when Negan was making his pitch for the Saviors, when Eugene joining the Saviors was a very plausible concept, because they had people that made ice cream and potato chips, and they had multiple outposts with giant machine guns, and they had hundreds of soldiers and weaponry. They were a very formidable force, and they weren't living this in the woods lifestyle. As Negan said, you get yourself a new pair of boots and you live like a king. Eugene had a refrigerator that had pickles, and remember all the food that he had? Eugene was playing video games, and those women were giving him massages and stuff like that. I think people would choose that lifestyle over living in the woods with Whisperer masks and little, the hygiene and medication and diseases. There's 100 reasons you would choose Negan's savior lifestyle at the height of his power over the decrepit woods wandering lifestyle of the Whisperers. So this proposal of Negan's, I don't know why he's got to figure to himself that this is a dumb move for him to be suggesting this. Now, one person made an interesting comment to me and said, well, he was right about Gamma. he said the thing about Gamma being a traitor, and Alpha didn't believe him, and then Gamma did end up being a traitor, and she rewarded him quite handsomely, might I remind all of you, from a few episodes ago. But if he was right about that, maybe maybe his thinking is that she'll listen to him in the same vein because he was right about the Gamma thing. Now, Alpha's not at that point, though. I think, especially after Lydia kind of told her off last episode, there's no hope. Alpha just wants this community dead. It's a thorn in her side. Both don't like each other. They don't like each other. This has been brewing. This little Cold War has been brewing for the majority of season 10. After the Pike sequence, that the snow episode, and then all these episodes of season 10, it's just been this Cold War situation, and now I think it's finally the Balkan powder keg, to use a World War I reference, is finally going to have a match lit under it. So that's just my breakdown of the scene. So some of these images go along with their conversation that they have in the woods. Alpha does not look like she's in any good light at all. Probably still dealing with the rejection of her daughter, because she's been rejected twice. There was the rejection when she went to the kingdom to try to get Lydia the first time, and Lydia rejected her. And now she's rejected her again when she offered Lydia leadership and tried to rope her back into the Whisperer lifestyle, and she straight out told her that her way was not the only way. And I think Alpha's like, all right, I'm done trying to convince my daughter. Would she kill Lydia if it came to it? If Lydia has chosen the side of the enemy and she wants to wipe them out, would she do that? Food for thought. But those are the images we have. Now, in terms of our preview clip, so the Talking Dead preview clip was quite interesting because it shows, I do believe, Eugene, and a genius invention he has come up with to slow the Whisperer approach. He's created this supercharged collection of batteries and has linked them to these wires that are attached to wood fence posts. And in this sequence, which I've taken a few screenshots, you see these zombies getting burnt to a crisp, hitting the wires and getting electrocuted and just vaporizing. But the sequence ends with that, there's so many walkers hitting it that the batteries just kind of have like an overcharge, like the fuse kind of blows, and they get past the defenses. So we know for a fact that this trick isn't going to work for long. I almost kind of wish they didn't spoil this, because if I was watching this episode in the heat of the moment with so many things going on, I would be like, oh, that's such a cool concept, and then, it doesn't work, or maybe Eugene has to amend it. Like, to show it in this preview and reveal, like, I would have liked to have, like, if the preview cut off before it was revealed that it wasn't working, I would have liked that, because now I'm like, oh, it was a really cool invention by Eugene, but it wasn't that effective. It took out a few walkers, but it wasn't this impenetrable shield, this force field that they were hoping that it was going to be. And so, yeah, it was a cool clip. I always waver. I mean, again, some people like spoilers. I don't. Sometimes my curiosity gets the best of me, depending what the subject matter is. But I'm not kind of for just blatant spoilers to explain it that way. So, and then to give you guys two final images, we have Eugene, Aaron, and Rosita are the immediate characters. We've got some randoms in the background in armor and with their weapons drawn. And this is a cool shot of Aaron. His mace is all bloody. He's got a sword in the other hand. That mace is a great weapon. Like, it reminds me of how Merle had the little spear on the end of his hand. And I really like how this mace, especially that scene that I reacted to in the mid-season premiere when the zombie comes out of the hole that Jerry got stuck in, and he just kind of like slaps it on the back of the head, and the whole head explodes because of how big and spiky the mace is. It's just such a cool toy. It's just a little, and it's nice because, you know, if most of the time people, you know, their hand, you don't want to get bit, but he's got this big metal extension, doesn't have a hand, and he can just swipe it. If I was him, I would just swipe that thing, you know, like windshield wipers, and just kind of slice zombies like that. That would be a, you know, great strategy in my opinion. But we'll see how he ends up using it. So, yeah, and then one more image of the group. Luke, where the heck's he been? You guys forget him? He was part of the Connie, Kelly, Magna, Yumiko. It seems like of that group, that new group that came on last season, he seems to be the character that's kind of had the least amount of screen time. So, yeah, it's nice to see him here. The only thing I remember is that he had a crush on an Oceanside girl, but besides that, nothing of any substance. So hopefully he makes some contributions during this battle so I remember who he is. So, okay. Those are all of the preview clips. Now, I will just say very quickly that if you guys are wondering where my Episode 10 Stalker reaction review, where that is, YouTube flagged it. I guess I showed too much of the episode in it, and this happens from time to time. There have been some reactions in the past where I just haven't uploaded them because I've run into this issue. So, I really liked my post-review breakdown of that episode. So what I'm thinking of doing is just maybe including the review part, or just splicing it up, trying to take certain bits and leaving them out, because that's really the only way that you can get around some of that stuff. But yeah, I was pressed for time and probably should have edited it so that didn't happen, but it did. So, you know, it is what it is. But I'll have that up tonight. It just means that the reaction comes up later than usual. So, yeah. So let me know what you guys are predicting for this episode. It seems like every episode so far is just like loaded and just packed with just action and just happenings. So you guys tell me what you're looking forward to, but I can kind of already guess. It's not too much of a surprise. So yeah, let's all keep that in mind, and just let me know. And if you're enjoying the reactions and the reviews and all the other stuff that's going on with this channel. And yeah, that's about it from me. I'm super excited. I love chatting with you guys, and hopefully we get a great battle sequence here. So that's it from me. Enjoy. See you guys later.